everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast. I am Jodi Grinwald. This week I am joined by Jacot, co-chair of the Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce ATHENA Leadership Committee. We are both joined by the 2022 ATHENA Leadership Finalists. Last year I was recognized as the ATHENA Award recipient, and Christina Henderson was presented the Young Professionals ATHENA Leadership Award. This year the finalists are Chaya Pamula, co-founder and CEO PamTen Inc., founder of SheTek and Sofkin; Dr. Aaron Avery, President Avery Educational Resources, LLC; Helen Arkantu, CEO YWCA, Northern New Jersey; Marta Quinn, Senior Development Director, HABcore; and Assemblywoman Vicky Flynn, New Jersey General Assembly. The ATHENA Leadership Award is presented by Chambers of Commerce, women's organizations, and universities to a woman or a man who demonstrates the qualities embodied in the ATHENA leadership model and who have achieved the highest level of professional excellence, contributes time and energy to improve the quality of life for others, and actively assists others, particularly women, in realizing their full leadership potential. The Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce is the only organization in the state of New Jersey that is licensed to provide this award. All of these finalists are so worthy of this recognition and deserve to be recognized for their incredible work. Good luck to all of them. On Friday, November 4th, there will be a reception held at the Jumping Brook Country Club, where one recipient will be chosen in both the ATHENA and Young Professional ATHENA categories. Go to www.monmouthregionalchamber.com for more information. Please subscribe to the Today's the Day Changemakers YouTube channel. Download the podcast from most streaming sites. Don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Today is the Day, Live It. Also, to learn more about Today is the Day's overall programming, International Annual Forum, the upcoming Changemakers Connective, business coaching and consulting, go to todayisthedayliveit.com. The views expressed by all Today's the Day Changemakers podcast guests are their own. Their appearance on the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast does not imply any endorsement of them or any entity that they represent. Thank you and have a fabulous week, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Jodi Grinwald, and welcome to another episode of the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast. I am so honored to always have every week the most incredible guests. These guests are disrupting the status quo. They are the change makers, the inspirers. And today I have several of them with me again, because this is part 2 of the ATHENA Leadership Award finalists for 2022. So I'm welcoming back Jacot from the Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce, and some of the finalists for the what are we calling them, Ivy? The seasoned finalist is for this age group.
That was the vote.
I was saying vintage, but I really like seasoned way better. So with that being said, Ivy, I'm just going to throw it to you for a moment here for you to share a little bit about ATHENA, since this is part 2 of the episode for those who might not have listened to part 1.
Perfect. So ATHENA is an award where we recognize women that are successful in their business, give back to the community, and mentor other women to their fullest potential. And this is something that the Chamber's been doing for the past 37 years. And the beautiful part is that we really do celebrate everybody that becomes a finalist. So we have many applications. We select down to a few of the finalists, and then we hold this amazing luncheon on the first Friday of November, which this year is November 4th.
Which is incredible. And I was honored to be chosen as a recipient for 2021. So I am totally honored and feeling great to be able to be part of this now with all of these incredible women. And we had an event last night that really showcased and the finalists, so everybody got to hear a little bit more about each other. It's just an incredible feeling in the room for those of you who are listening and can't be there. But right now I want to introduce the finalists to the listeners, and I'm going to ask each finalist to just give a little background about themselves. We're going to start with Marta Quinn from HABcore. Marta is HABcore Senior Development Director. Marta, can you share some more? Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. So I thank you for introducing me from HABcore. Yes, I am the Director of Development there, Senior Director. I've been there for almost 6 years. I feel like I've been there forever because I know everyone and I feel so connected with our mission and our families and the communities. So like I even mentioned last night, this is not a job for me. This is just a reason and a purpose for me to really be able to share my experiences and my resources. So a little bit about HABcore. We're a local nonprofit. Our mission is to provide affordable and permanent housing and support services for individuals who are experiencing homelessness. And this is for families with children, individuals with special needs, and veterans all throughout Monmouth and Ocean counties. And we have such a need that we're expanding, I say, over the bridge. But it's a joy, and I'm very proud of this. I'm proud to be part of HABcore, but I've got a lot more experience to share, but I'm sure we want to introduce the rest of the ladies. So thank you.
Thanks, Marta. Thank you for the great work that you're doing. It's incredible. Next, I'm going to introduce Assemblywoman Vicky Flynn from the New Jersey General Assembly State Assembly, and she's the State Assemblywoman.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you, Jodi and Marta. Thank you for all the good work you're doing. It's so necessary right now, and it kind of hits all the topics that I'm trying to address as a new Assemblywoman in Monmouth County. I was just recently elected last year in 2021 to join the Assembly. It's been a busy now 9 months of work, and it's been exciting and rewarding. I've been an attorney for over 22 years in private practice. I went to Seton Hall Law School, which I kind of just always say because we're all pretty still good friends. We see each other out and about still. Tight group knit, and I'm a mom to 3 kids who's always been active. And prior to being on the Assembly, I served time as a member of the Homedale Board of Education for 6 years, 4 of those years as board president, and also, of course, during the pandemic. So I'm trying to take all the lessons I learned and the passion I have for education and good state government to the state. And I think, I've been using a lot of this time to build really good relationships with, of course, my colleagues in the Assembly caucus. The Republicans, I think we have a lot of women walked into the caucus this year. So I think that's changed the dynamic on both sides of the aisle, and it's also allowing us to work on both sides of the aisle even better. So big proponent of women. Big proponent of mentoring them in any way, shape, or form I can, because I've been fortunate to have such good female mentors throughout my life, starting with the person who made me go to work at age 13 to, my Justice of the Supreme Court. I was her first law clerk on the New Jersey Supreme Court, Janie Ywca, and I can't believe she just retired. So I can't believe how long I've been around it. It went really quick. And I'm happy to be here with such an extraordinary group of women today. So thank you.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. That's incredible. Next, I would like to introduce Helen Arkantu. Did I say your last name right?
You did it. That was it.
Because I think on the last so Helen has been a guest on the podcast before, and I know I said your name wrong, so I apologize. That's awful. I hate when people do that. So I will always remember now, because when you said it last night, I was like, darn, I got it wrong the last time. So Helen is the YWCA Northern New Jersey CEO. So Helen, please share more.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's nice to be in everyone's company again today after such a lovely evening last night. And what a tremendous honor to, be a finalist with all of you. I've been the CEO of the YWCA since 2011, and it really has been the greatest gift to me. It doesn't really feel like a job. It really just, feels like it really is my calling. I'm very passionate about what I do, trying to create a more equitable society for all. And I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity to live the mission of the YWCA every day and everything I do. Our work there focuses on gender equity through our work in terms of women's empowerment, both for helping women start small businesses, helping moms, balance it all, helping women move up through the corporate structure. And right now, one of our big focuses is helping underemployed and unemployed women get back to work. And we know economic equity is so key in creating equality for women and gender equity. And we do all of this with young women too, because we all know you can't have an empowered woman without starting as a young girl in that space. We do a lot of racial justice work, obviously, with our mission being to eliminate racism and empower women, which is really about creating racial and cultural empathy as a bridge to be able to break down systemic racism and the work that we see. We're working in education, we're working in the mental health systems, and so proud of the work that we're doing in that space. And I use my privilege as a white woman to, really educate and hopefully inspire others who look like me to understand that racism is something that we all need to take part in dismantling because it hurts us all. And we focus on safety and support. We run the sexual violence program for the state of New Jersey. For Bergen County, as well as we're one of the largest childcare providers in the community. So as a result of it, and our senior health and wellness programs for every age and stage in your life, there's something at the YW, which is why it's my great gift. In addition to my work there for 17 years, I've been an adjunct professor at Montclair State in their School of Social Work, focused on their Center for Child Advocacy and working in training professionals who are working at child abuse investigations. That's my background. I worked for the prosecutor's office years ago in sex crimes, doing child abuse investigations, and my trajectory of my work in gender violence came from that space. I'm also a mom to my 9-year-old twins, Stephen and Julia, and my 1-year-old, I call him a wackadoodle, Buddy, who's the newest addition to our family. And I am the caretaker of my 91-year-old mother. So I'm the poster child personally of the sandwich generation. But all of it fuels, really my passion and my excitement to link arms, and always an opportunity like this to meet other women. Because I always feel like the more we meet each other, the more we talk and the more we create ways to help each other. It happens very naturally for all of us. So I'm always grateful, for any opportunity like this. So thank you.
Thank you, Helen. For those who are listening, for our listeners, you can see that we already, and we still have 2 more to introduce, have incredible dynamic women who are just part of this ATHENA Leadership Award as finalists right now. And the truth is if you take a look at the international listing of all of the international recipients, from astronauts to celebrities to CEOs to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the list goes on and on the international level. The Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce, I want to make sure I say this, is the only organization in the state of New Jersey licensed to give out this award. So it covers the entire state. So anybody listening in the state who wants to next year nominate someone, just start thinking about that right now, because that's really important. Women need to, as Helen said, we all need to connect arms. We all need to link together, and there needs to be this camaraderie, not competitiveness. So that's just something I want to make sure I say. Before I now introduce Dr. Aaron Avery, Avery Educational Resources, LLC President. Hi, Dr. Avery.
Hi, everyone. And thank you so much, Jodi and Ivy. I still have my flowers here from last night. What a wonderful event. I continue to myself. I feel so honored to be part of this incredible cohort of women. A little bit about my background. Education has always been incredibly important to me, even from a very young age. I went on to attend the Petty School, which is in Hightstown, New Jersey, and then Boston College. I was a double D1 varsity athlete and in the honors program, which enabled me to spend some time at Oxford University as an undergraduate. Then I went back there and did my first master's at Oxford, my second master's at Yale. When I was pregnant with my 4th child, I finished my doctorate, which was, an educational dream of mine, which is thus the name doctor. And I started an educational consulting practice in Fairhaven, New Jersey in 2003, the year I got married. And so I always considered that my first child. And then as the children came, I wanted to continue to model for them the ability to leverage our gifts and skills to serve one another. And so I particularly am interested in coming alongside of students and their families as they're journeying the transition from high school to college. But I also work with students through the boarding school process, and then of course, graduate school and career counseling. And one of the things that I try to do, so a lot of my clientele can afford to pay fees, but there are many students who not only do not have access to educational guidance, but they almost don't even know, they don't have the playbook, but they don't even know that a playbook exists. So I brainstormed with the leader then of the Sisters Academy in Asbury Park, and together we partnered, and I was able to help 2 students to secure over $500,000 in scholarships for boarding schools, and then following that for college, and continue to guide them through their careers. I would say that it's incredibly important. I learned this through serving on the board of Love Inc. here in Monmouth County, where I was born and raised, and I'm still living here now. That it's really the relationships that are truly transformational. I think everyone on this podcast would agree. And so I really view my role as partnering and the relationality involved in that as incredibly important to change even one life. Chaya and many women who spoke tonight talked about mentoring young women and that personal relationship that's truly transformative. I teach online for the University of California, Irvine. Otherwise, that would be a very long commute. And teaching, helping people who want to become educational consultants, which is what I do, so that we can ensure that there is ethical and sound principles in my career, which I love so much and has enabled me not only to be a CEO and an entrepreneur, but also to raise the family and have the life that I always dreamed of while using my gifts in education to help to make sure that all young women have access to an educational pathway, which is, of course, for all of us been tremendously transformational. So thank you again so much. Very humbled to be here.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Avery. We appreciate that. Thanks for giving us an overview. And now Chaya. So those who are watching via the YouTube channel, Chaya is coming in from the longest distance as she's driving back from the airport. She's in, she was here in New Jersey and she is now across the country. Chaya Pamula is the president, CEO, co-founder. She wears so many hats, PamTen, SheTek, and Sofkin. And I'll let her share with you the different things that she does for these 3 different incredible organizations.
Thank you so much, Jodi. And Ivy, thank you so much for the opportunity. Really enjoyed meeting all these wonderful women last night. It was a wonderful event. I also still have the flowers, but at home. I'm heading home from the airport. I'm the co-founder and CEO of PamTen. We are a global technology services company. We are headquartered in New Jersey. Also have offices in New York, 2 in Canada, 2 in India, also opening up another one in California. I was working with a pharma company 15 years ago, and that was the time I realized that I haven't been doing much about my ambition to help underprivileged children. Because I lost my parents at an early age, took me a lot of effort to be where I am today. And I wanted to make sure the other kids get the privilege and the support that I received. And I wanted to really give them the right path to achieve their dreams. So I founded Sofkin. I left my job and went to India. Then I founded Sofkin, came back, founded Sofkin here in the US as well. It's called Support Organization for Kids in Need. What we do is really we give them a home and give them a family. My belief is if you give them the right infrastructure, security, more than anything, the love, unconditional love to these children, all the hidden talents can be surfaced. And that's what we've been experiencing. It's been 15 years of journey. We're supporting more than 100 children. And some of those children are now working as employees in our company. That was my dream. And also, Jodi, thank you so much. You've done a podcast with some of those children. And that was a dream. It was a visual dream for me that existed for many years, that I would wanted my children to be able to speak and be on panels and be speakers. And you gave that first opportunity for them. I truly thank you for that. So these kids are, they're all excelling in their careers. And while I'm doing that, I've also seen some of the girls are, even though I'm in technology industry, they're not taking up technology, career options. So then I also, when my company is growing, we opened job positions. We didn't see many women applying for those jobs. So that was a curiosity I had. Why these women are intimidated by technology. So when we did the study, we realized some of the factors, and then I said, let's create another organization. So that's called SheTek, where we are now, our goal is to increase the number of women represented in the tech industry. We are doing this by way of creating a community of leaders, entrepreneurs, and successful women in the tech industry and even other industries. And also we have invited the universities to be a part of this community. So we have partnered with universities, corporations, and many women who are willing to move into the IT industry. So we are giving them technical training, upskilling training, and also mentoring to these women so they can choose these technology careers. And also we are continuing to support them through this mentorship and hand-holding them to be successful in their roles. So this has been an incredible journey. We started SheTek just 2 years ago. We have more than 1,000 women in our community today. And I really welcome all of you to be part of this community, and your incredible success stories will inspire many of these women. Please be part of that and share your stories. And I would really welcome you to come on to some of our webinars as well, because we do a lot of lunch and learn webinars for women to hear other women's stories. And also we do technical boot camps. So there is also a mentorship program. You can be a mentor as well. And personally, I'm also interested in mentoring young children, young students. So each year I mentor more than 3 to 4 young women. And also, apart from mentoring my children from the nonprofit as well. So one great success story, one of those first child of Sofkin, she's now in the United States, in New Jersey, working in our company. And most of you met her yesterday. And thanks again for this incredible opportunity.
Yeah, my 3 is great. She's wonderful. We are so glad to meet her in person. So Ivy, I'm just going to throw this back to you. Now we've heard from everybody. Incredible, right?
Beyond. And every time I listen to the stories or hear the introductions or read the applications, I want to relive my life and do more. It's inspiring. It's awesome. And it's what this award is all about. And it's just amazing. And Jodi, you're amazing because you were the recipient last year and you didn't abandon the program. You actually helped us expand it and make it better. So thank you.
Thank you. You're so kind. Thanks, Ivy. You made me cry last night. So thank you for your kind words. I'm not going to ask everybody the same question, but I'm going to kind of pick and choose here because I really want the listeners. One of the things that is very important to me when we have conversations like this is that there's a lot of women out there and men that they hear your stories and they think that you have something so special in you that that's why you're successful, that they don't have that same motivation and determination and resiliency. So I want to ask you, Helen, I'm going to ask you this question first, if you don't mind. As a leader, is there something that challenged you, right? As you were working your way through your career that you overcame? And when you look back now, you think to yourself, I don't know how I did that. Because I want the audience to hear from this incredible group that it's not always easy. We don't always win every single time that we put ourselves out there.
Well, what I can say is, any of the efforts that all of us have taken on as I'm listening to the stories, they're not a light lift, right? I mean, none of them are a light lift, and they don't happen by accident. And no matter how talented or amazing or intelligent, any of us are, we cannot do it alone. And so, I'd say any place that I did not succeed might have been places that I tried to do it alone, is what I've, learned looking back. That, and that's why for me, it is so key to link arms. And it's also so key to grow and empower. I mean, our mission is to empower women. That word empower is so critical. I work to empower my students, that I teach. Everyone always says to me, how do you still teach with everything that you do at Montclair State? I still teach because I believe, that the next generation coming up needs to really be inspired and engaged by people who are like boots on the ground doing the work so that you can pass the torch, because I've worked hard in what I do. And I really do feel like as much as there's more work to do, we've made strides, but the only way those strides are going to continue if there's someone behind me. Same as the person in front of me who handed the baton to me, I've got to hand the baton to somebody else. And so that's why, mentorship, coaching, these are all so key and so important. And I do think, and we have so many programs, and I speak to young women, so often. And, one of the things I really try to remind them is that there's really no straight line anywhere. And even from a failure, if you really, take, look and take the time to be introspective about the experience, there's something that you gain from it. And there's something that you give better as a result of it, if you've really taken that time to evaluate it. So, are there things I wish I did better? Yes, for sure. But I do think that the key to success is really linking arms, and linking arms for the good times and linking arms for the bad times. Because at the end of the day, and I say this to young girls all the time, there's no straight line anywhere. There are always twists and turns. And it's really not about those twists and turns. It's about how you handle those twists and turns and how you navigate them. And that's why the programs that, I've, been, fortunate to help be part of creating, to help women start small businesses, to help women, get back to work, or, that have been out of the workforce for 6 months or longer, really be able to feel good about themselves, to put themselves back out there and try to look, helping moms, that are, whether they're, focused on their households, or whether they're trying to, get back into the formal, professional workforce again, whatever that is, that they, have a circle to help them. Because at the end of the day, none of us have done any of this, alone. We've all learned from someone who gave to us. And that's why, it's so important that we give back as well as, as core, each day.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Helen. That's a great answer. Assemblywoman Vicky Flynn, I wanted to ask you the same question, especially in the seat that you're sitting in right now. You've done other things besides this, of course, it's so successful, but this is, you're in an interesting position, right? And so can you share a little bit about what that was like for you?
The run up to becoming an Assemblywoman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things I had, 2 years ago, I actually lost an election, in a primary election. And it was during that weird COVID period where we had these mail-in elections. I only lost by a few votes. To your point, and Helen, like I was thinking about, like, what would I add to everything Helen said is totally correct. I would agree with her 100%. This other piece I would add to it, which I think she said it much nicer than I would, but basically you can't dwell on those failures. You have to just put them aside and keep moving forward. As a woman, we don't have time. I feel like we've been given this gift of life, and we don't have the time to wait to do things. We have to be kind to ourselves. We might not succeed at first, but that doesn't mean you give up. You have to keep working hard. I do think women work extremely hard. That's why I like to surround myself with smart, hardworking women. You notice a difference when that happens. That doesn't mean I don't work. I mean, I also, with, smart working men and hardworking men I've surrounded myself with. So I think what I've learned through my career and through as a lawyer, I like to win. I've lost here and there. I ultimately try to win by not dwelling on that loss and keep going forward, looking for that win. So that's the advice I would give to anyone. In addition to what Helen said, it's hard work. It's being willing to put yourself out there. I got to tell you, like I've been throughout my whole career with women I went to law school with, women that I practiced law with, that I thought were extraordinary, but you could see sometimes they hold themselves back. So you find those opportunities to say to them, don't hold yourself back. I see that special light in you. You need to push yourself forward and be that support system to that other person. And now being in this position, I think it's incumbent upon myself to carry that through. As I mentioned earlier, and I mean, I wish you could almost you could feel it when we first met as a new caucus, right after we were all elected. And all of these, and the Democrats had additional women too, but all these new women came into the Republican caucus room. And even though I wasn't there before, I could feel the change in that room and how we were going to work together. And I think we've added a different approach in terms of, and I think like all of you, if you were all in the position I am, you'd have the same approach. You would be about, we got to get stuff done. I got elected. Now it's time to get stuff done. We're not here just to, play legislature for fun. We're here to get stuff done. Because that's the type of women you all are. And that's the type of energy you felt in that room immediately. And that's the type of energy I think we're bringing to the process. I think we have a level of impatience because we want to get stuff done. And we're really all worried about certain things. Me personally, education, you could go on my Twitter account, Facebook, when I get a minute, I'm like up at night or earlier in the morning tweeting and saying like, this is a crisis. It's a public crisis and we got to do something and we need to treat it like that. So I think you need people in the right place at the right time. I think this is the right place, right time for me. I don't think I should have ran for the assembly 10 years ago. And I think when I think about like when they asked me, would you run for assembly after having just lost an election in the middle of COVID again? It was an opportunity. It was a challenge and an opportunity, and I took it. And I think we need to encourage our peers, other women that we surround ourselves with, to take on those challenges when they're presenting to them. Because you might not be successful, but that's okay because you took on a challenge and you are going to learn from that. So that's what I would share.
Oh, yeah. No, that's great. Everything we do is a lesson learned. And I don't believe Brene Brown has this saying about the fact that we do not fail, we fall. As children, when we fall, when we're babies, right? You toddlers, we're first making our rounds, right? We're finally getting a little bit of our feet going there. We when we fall, we get back up. So most of the times we don't even cry. It's our families that make like a sound that make us cry. So failure sounds so final, but falling really means you can just pick yourself right back up and dust yourself off and put those Band-Aids on the knees. So that's exactly what I stole that from, or borrowed from Brene Brown. PamTen is a leader in IT enterprise solutions and staffing. They are driven to transform their clients' business performances. They do this every day by providing their clients with the best services and products like BizLego, an online community platform, and Colear, a unique learning management system. They also transform the lives of women and children through their associated nonprofits, SheTek, which supports women in and joining the technology field, and Sofkin, support organization for kids in need. PamTen, technology for social good. Go to PamTen.com for more information. Marta, I want to go to you. I want to ask you, is there a mentor that has stood out in your life that has shared something with you that you could share with us briefly?
Several. I have several. There was a woman I met. First time I met her, she was 96 years old. And she was a USO singer, a USO performer, and she owned everything in her persona, her spirit, her life. And she has gone through a long life, through a lot of things that I never could imagine. But she gave me this gift of, Marty, do not turn around, do not turn back. Always look to the positive, which I always have. And we really did get along very well in that because we had the same energy. And I've always lived by the saying of, it's a no until you ask. And when I look at women and I look at children and people coming up into the, the workforce, I know from myself, there was a lot of times I held back and I didn't ask and I didn't say anything. And years went by and I regret that. And I wish I had spoke up in the beginning to say, this is how I felt and this is how it's going. I mean, I've been working since I'm 11 years old. I'm a single mom. My kids are the same way. We work, we strive to do what's best for others. But, there are mentors all around us. And I'm going to tell you, HABcore has been a gift to me. Not only HABcore, but I work with a lot of other organizations like Covenant House, who helps the young adults that are going through crisis to get them through. I mean, when you hear stories that they're being sold on Craigslist or that they were sex trafficked. These are things that should never come in our conversations. This should never be a dialogue with our children. However, these young warriors are doing it. They are raising their hand and they're asking for help then. They're not waiting. They're finding that courage and that strength to ask for help. They're my mentors. These are the young adults that have gone through the worst of crisis, and yet they'll sit next to you and tell you their story. I get chills thinking about it. Tell you their story so honestly and raw and openly, because I learn from them and they're learning from us. And I don't think they realize that. I know so many of the adults and the young kids have no idea how much they're teaching me about humility and humble and gratefulness. And, you know, it's about just being kind to one another, because you never know what the person next to you is going through. You never, ever know. I've met this young woman who, she was a top CEO executive in Manhattan. And it can happen to anyone. She found herself without a home, homeless. Top, smart as a whip, amazing. But she says, you know what, I'm suffering. I asked for help. Somehow she got to HABcore. And because of HABcore, she found her stability. She found her strength again and her voice again. And she was able not only to help herself find that with HABcore, and we're there to help them. We're not handing out, we're saying, we're going to hold your hand through all the crisis and we'll get you there, you know, because we believe in you like you need to believe in yourself. And I think when you talk about mentors, I now have a group of new mentors right in front of me right now, which I'm exploding with questions. And I'm just thrilled for this because I soak it all in. I'm a sponge and I'm just grateful for all of the experiences. And I'm so eager to know all of you more, honestly.
Well, I got to tell you, for those who are going to be listening, they're going to be eager too. So they're in the show notes. I'm going to be putting all of your organizations out there so that everybody can be found, because I feel like this is what you're saying. Mentorship is important. Us linking arms, us being out there. This show has been downloaded over 525 cities around the world. So you might wind up getting a couple of emails here or there, possibly. So that's my hope, because the energy is so big. Chaya, I'm going to put you on the spot for a minute because we're friends. And I don't know if you're able to get, yeah, you are. So last night you told Helen and I, we're going to have to truncate the story because of time. But last night you told Helen and I a very important story about manifestation, law of attraction, and belief, and true belief. And so I wish I could give you time to tell the whole story, but if you could truncate it for us, I would so appreciate it, because I feel like it's vital.
Thanks, Jodi. I will try to truncate it. So I was invited to Bob Proctor's tribute in New York City. So I was there at the tribute, and somebody told me that I should talk to Bob Proctor, and he's very philanthropic. He would be able to help my nonprofit work. So one of my friends suggested that she would introduce me backstage to Bob Proctor, but he finished his speech and we were asked to ask questions. I have no idea what pushed me to raise my hand. When I did, I saw the microphone right next to me and I was not prepared to ask the question. But then I spoke, with my heart. I said, I have this not-for-profit. We're trying to construct buildings for these children. We raised about $200,000. I still need about $150,000. In your speech, you mentioned that it's so easy to achieve $1 million if you split it into $100,000 and start trying to get that money, aim for that money. And I said, can you tell me what I can do? How can you help me? So he said, I really respect your courage. Then he said, I truly believe your story. And here what I'm going to do, I'll give you $10,000. If you can find 14 other people in this room who can give, each can give you $10,000. And I had no clue. I didn't know anyone in the room. All I was praying is like, even if I get that $10,000, I'm really happy. But you know what happened? He said, whoever believes in whatever Chaya is doing can raise your hands if you're willing to donate $10,000. Total strangers, 12 people raised their hands, And he said, I need 2 more and 2 more raise. All this happened within 30 seconds. And I took all the information, and Bob Proctor wrote $10,000 check for me. Believe me, within 1 month when I followed up, I got $100,000 total within a month. You know, even today when I share this story, I get goosebumps only because he's the one who taught me to strongly believe in law of attraction. You know, you strongly desire for something and you do something really good, and you attract those resources in this universe, and they will be presented right in front of you. And that's what happened to me. And there is no, I didn't know anyone, no issue with race, religion, caste, nothing. People didn't even know me. They just believed in the work that I did. So this was a true, experience to say, if you're doing something good, it's possible to manifest that into something really huge. And I shared this with so many people, and I happened to share it last night with you ladies. I tell you, law of attraction is something I truly believe in. The universe will respond to you. You just believe in the work that you do. And thanks for giving the opportunity to share this story.
Oh my gosh, it's hard for me not to cry. Like, I feel emotional about it. I do. And I know many of you are ready to jump out of your seats. I could see it. It's just so much joy. And that's the thing is, so many times I'm really on this journey about law of attraction and manifestation. I'm proud to say that because it's worked for me a lot lately. But one of the things I will say is we come from fear so much judgment, especially women. We judge each other. And people judge us consistently. How many times you get up in front of a room and you see the audience face like, well, does this person really have something that they can really, really share? And they judge what you're wearing. And when I go out and I speak, I said, okay, how many people here judge my shoes? And I make everybody laugh. Because at the fat or my hair, having a bad hair day, because judgment holds us back and fear holds us back. And then the manifestation of all that greatness doesn't happen. So I had to share that here because as women, as leaders, if we come from fear, we only hold ourselves back. But when we come from community, we lift each other up. So I just wanted to share that. And I have to get to the last question, unfortunately, because we're running out of time. So I'm going to ask Dr. Aaron Avery this last question first, since you didn't get to answer something before. So everybody's going to answer the same question. What is the footprint you are creating right now that you want to leave behind? So unfortunately, Aaron, you're the one who's going to have to answer that quicker than everybody else, but you get to go first.
Well, I would say, I love the term footprint, but I really think very intentionally about legacy. I think because we've gestured at it, we're all standing on the shoulders of giants, right? All of the women, you had asked the question about, who are your, your role models. And by the way, Assemblywoman Flynn, I would be on your cabinet any day. Just want to let you know that. And Chaya, if I would love to be in that room with you. We got to find these rooms, and we've got to get young women in these rooms. I think my legacy really is education equals opportunity, and to have access and to open up that access, to just open up the playing field. I'm a big proponent of growth mindset. And so I try to really instill that in my students and in my own children. If someone says to me, I can't do it, I say, well, we can't do it today. Maybe you can't do it today, but let's talk about tomorrow. Let's just keep working toward that. When I think about Leslie and Whitney, those were the first 2 girls from Sisters Academy that I had the privilege to work with. I remember sitting with them and I said, well, okay, we created an online application. And I said, okay, when you go home, just, log in, work on your application, and then we'll meet back here. And one of the girls nodded and the other girl said, girl, you don't have a computer at home and neither do I. Tell the truth. Right. And so at that moment, my eyes were open to the fact that we can't even take for granted very basic obstacles to access. One of the girls, Whitney, I'm thinking of Whitney at the moment, and I hope she'll watch this podcast because I was able to be at her graduation from Mercersburg Academy, which is a boarding school out in Western Pennsylvania. None of her family members could be there, but I was very, very privileged and honored to stand in that stead. And one of the things that was so moving about that particular experience was that became a tremendous support system. and really launched her to the next level of her educational journey. And if I do leave a legacy, I really hope that it's a pedagogical approach that is coming alongside of students. When we guide, we have a tendency to be sort of top down about it, or to read all the wisdom and all the knowledge. It's incredibly empowering to just alongside of students, to partner, or as Helen said, to link arms, and then to just lean into what I would call the intellectual curiosity side of the legacy, which is all the different women in my life that I lifted up. When you were answering that question, Marta, I was thinking of like my inspirations, like Dr. Maya Angelou, Oprah Winfrey, and Dr. Jennifer Doudna, who has pioneered gene editing, and even down to my fourth grade teacher, who just was so intellectually curious about New Jersey history. And I fell in love with the Lenni Lenape tribe because she was so excited about it. So I think that if my legacy could be poured out into the students and young people that I have the privilege to serve, it would just be to go with your curiosities, to lean into curiosity. And rather than judge, as we were talking about, you said, Jodi, with your shoes, and rather than judge, to just be curious and to ask, and to never be afraid to ask questions, right? Right, Assemblywoman Flynn, because that's how we learn. Socratic method, right? Just keep asking and keep learning and have that growth mindset for the rest of our lives.
That's great. Thank you. That's great. A wonderful answer for your footprint. Marta, you're next. What's the footprint you're creating now that you want to leave behind?
Mine seems to be simple, I think. I live by the be kind method in everything I do in life. I teach my kids to be kind. I talk to my little grandson who's only 9 months old and tell him, you be good to your mother, you be kind. We're not name callers. We don't judge people. We are good people. Just be kind to one another. The world is in a really difficult place, and it always has been. There's always been rough times and easier times, but I do believe in that. I believe in kindness, and I believe there's always good that comes from bad. Like even this COVID, we learned a lot of bad, but there's a lot of good that's coming out of it. And we just need to keep our heads up, stay positive, and be kind. That's mine.
That's beautiful. My father had a saying, if you asked him what his religion was, he would say, I practice the religion of kindness. So it is can be a religion for sure. Yeah. Thanks, Marta. Chaya?
Yeah, so Martha, just to add on to that, I teach our children, love is religion for us. So one thing I would like to leave as a footprint is, I want to create a platform for all these children and women, so they gain that confidence levels. And we want to bring, leaders with high values. We want to create leaders with high values, who in turn can create a better world in future, so that we don't need organizations like Sofkin and SheTek anymore. That's really what I want to see. That's my vision. And I want to create a platform and a footprint where all these leaders, successful leaders with great values, are the ones who are going to lead that. And that's my legacy.
Oh, that's beautiful, Chaya. Thank you so much. Helen?
Well, obviously based on the core of my work, I mean, I'm all about kindness, I'm all about love. I'm on board with everyone has, but for me, it's equity, for all, is really core and important. I really devoted my entire career to date in, just, trying to create just, from a social justice perspective, opportunity for all and equal opportunity. Doesn't matter what your race is, doesn't matter what your income is, but that we should all have access. Our workforce, the workforce initiatives that I've created have, been focused on that. My most recent, my work with the Edward Mahan Women's Correctional Facility and, trying to help get that facility, really kind of shut down and refocused in terms of really supporting and not being a place for atrocities, for women there. My most recent project that I'm very committed to about creating safe spaces in New Jersey politics, where we've put out a a video for all political offices and all campaigns to train all of their workers on sexual assault, sexual victimization, and misogyny in the workplace, because we know that until we create safe political environments, women may run for office, but they may not stay in office because of what's in front of them. And again, all of these opportunities, including our, the racial justice work that I feel so strongly about, using my privilege, in a way to, really move forward on, eliminating racism, is really just about, creating opportunities for all. And these are initiatives that ripple and impact, and I believe started to create from a footprint perspective and a legacy perspective. I love that word as well. Something that, someone else started. As I said, I stand on the shoulders of those clearly before me. And at the same time, I make sure at all times that I have my hand, to, bring others with them. So I've only, the work I do, someone else started, for sure. I can't take credit for it at all. But I also, want to leave it in a place that it can get passed off for someone to continue it, because unfortunately it is always going to be ongoing work in this space.
Thank you, Helen, for sharing that. Assemblywoman Vicky Flynn, what's your answer to this question?
Well, I hope I've encouraged other women and young girls to run for public office. When I was younger, my mother was a councilwoman. She ran everything. If there wasn't anyone to umpire the baseball game, she umpired the baseball game. Like, she did a lot with kids and women and seniors. So I saw that. She sadly passed away when I was 13, when she was young. But those formative years, she did, that's what I saw her doing, running around, suffering. No one knew she was suffering from cancer. Well, I guess eventually we all knew, but she still worked hard to try to leave her footprint. Her footprint was this dedication to public service, which is something I kind of always did. I think probably because of that upbringing. When I went to Seton Hall Law School, our dean of our law school required all the deans to teach. And threaded throughout all of our classrooms was an obligation imposed upon us. If you were listening, they were saying it. They said it very clearly, I thought, that we were given a gift by being lawyers, and we had an obligation to give back and make this world better. And I take it very seriously. I take that as my charge. So in every way, shape, or form, no matter whether or not I was having another kid or if I was doing something crazy going on in my personal life, I always stayed committed to public service, because I feel like I've been given this gift in this world to give back. And so it's really about giving back to your community. And I hope that's the footprint I leave for everyone. I know you are all doing that. And there's one last thing I want to leave for you, your viewers, and our distinguished guests here. You all have great ideas that I haven't thought about, that you should share with me or your legislature or whoever, because we need good ideas from women. You've all thought this through, and I know you're not going to come to me with an idea that you just thought up like this. It's something you've dwelled on and thought about and overthought. And by the time you're telling me about it, it's a great idea. And I need your help and support in that. Like, for instance, one of the things that really is a big initiative of mine that I am getting, I think, pretty strong bipartisan support on, is creating a safer space for our children and our athletes in particular. As a young woman, like when I was a kid, I was in sports, and I think that allowed me to find this pathway I'm on, to be comfortable being a lawyer. It's male dominated. I still go to court, and I could be the only female standing there with 20 other males. That's unacceptable. I want that to change. It has to change. It's got to get better. So and for me, I thought sports was a way for me to kind of equalize my ability to participate in conversations and in rooms with other men. But right now, these spaces aren't too safe for these kids. And coming out of this pandemic, it's even worse. So I need your help. And what I am doing is drafting legislation to create safer spaces for kids. You're seeing what the U.S. women's national team, the soccer team's talking about. They're coming out with a report on this type of behaviors. And these behaviors, they didn't start when they went to college or high school. It all started when they were younger, these formative years. These formative years that gave me the drive to do what I'm doing today. And we need to create better spaces for our kids. So that's what I'm working on. So I will
Thanks.
stop talking. I think I went too far, but I wanted to put that out there because you all have such good ideas and I wanted to capture them. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. That's awesome. Listen, I know that I could talk to all of you for another hour and a half because you all have so much to offer. But unfortunately, podcast listeners don't like to listen for 2 hours. So I have to truncate things. But you're all incredible. I'm blessed to know all of you now. And congratulations to each and every one of you. Ivy, last words?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm going to add my footprint that I do, because I always think about that when I see Jodi. And she put me in deep thought, always, now permanently. And Chaya, just so you know, I live my life on manifestation for the past 6 years. And I'm a true believer. I knew you did the second you were speaking in the beginning. I said, she must do manifestation. And Bob Proctor is a big deal to me. But I want to positively impact the lives of others, knowingly or unknowingly. And by saying that, that became my true passion for Athena and this program, and the importance of meeting all of you and sharing you with our community and acknowledging and celebrating your success. And your success is our success. If you want any further information about the program, it is the website www.monmouthregionalchamber.com. We're having a magnificent luncheon at the Jumping Brook in Tinton Falls on November 4th. It's a great networking event. It's a great way to meet you in person. You're our superstars, and I hope the audience comes and meets each and every one of you. We will be celebrating you and our young professional leadership finalists as well. And we just look forward to a very successful year.
Yes, and thank you to Ivy for continuing this legacy with doing this now consecutive years. I think you said last night was like 37 through
I haven't
pandemic.
been doing it 37.
No, not you, but you've kept it consecutive even through the pandemic.
Yes.
You did do that. And
Yes.
so thank you to you for your passion, and you want, and you're interested in making sure that women continue to be lifted and supported throughout the process, throughout leadership, and sharing stories like this are just so important. So thanks, Ivy, for what you're doing.
Thank you.
So I'm going to say thank you to all of you and all of the listeners. You're going to have to look at the show notes because there's way too many websites and information to give you through this vehicle. So look at the show notes so you can connect with our guests today. But I'm going to say what I say at the end of every single podcast. Today is the day. You cannot go back to yesterday, and you do not yet own tomorrow. So what steps, small or large, are you going to take today to get yourself closer to your goal? Thank you so much to Ivy and all of the guests. Congratulations on being an Athena Leadership Award finalist from the Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce. And have a great week, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jodi.